Hello, PPAC students. So today we are going to have a super fun lesson about abstract art. We learned a little bit about Kandinsky, and he is a master of pure abstract. And abstract is a really cool type of art because there's no wrong answers and you're not drawing something that you can just go outside and see. Like a tree is not abstract if you draw it exactly how you see it. Or if you draw a bunch of smiley faces or a picture of a bunch of different animals. Abstract is more made up of geometric shapes and organic shapes, which we are going to talk about later, and color, a lot of colors, and lines to make an appealing picture. Color is really important with abstract art because people associate different colors with different emotions. Like some people may look at red and think, oh, red makes me angry, and this painting makes me angry because there's a lot of red in it. And some people associate blue with pretty blue skies or the ocean and more of a happy color. But it could be totally different. Like some colors can make one person feel angry and another person feel the total opposite. So it's really all up to you what colors and what shapes go into your picture. Or it's really neat to think what the shapes and the lines may remind you of. So looking at this one, for example, some may think this is a little dolphin or fish like popping out of the water. And some people may think this reminds them of a snake, or some may turn this upside down or sideways and think this looks like a camping tent. But it can look like something totally different to someone else. All right, so to begin the project, we are going to first look at two different kinds of shapes. There are geometric shapes that we are going to be drawing, and there's also going to be organic shapes. And if you look at the differences, geometric shapes are shapes that you probably have seen before and you know, like a square or a triangle, a rectangle, a circle, a trapezoid. These usually are made up of straight lines. A lot of them have two lines that are the same length, and some of them also have the same angles in them. So geometric shapes I like to associate with math because we learn about shapes in math. Organic shapes are more free and wiggly and wobbly, and they're not perfect. These are asymmetrical, which means symmetrical means that they are the same on both sides. Asymmetrical means if you draw a line right down the middle, they are different on each side. The organic shapes are more natural. Like if you go outside, you might see a wiggly snake or a swirl, or this kind of looks like a leaf. And you can make up organic shapes. These aren't any organic shapes that have names. I just kind of was making them up as I go. So with our drawing, you are going to make these kind of shapes and lines. What you're going to do first is you're going to get a piece of paper. Any kind of piece of paper is fine. Any shape. If it's smaller than this is cardstock, so it's a little thicker that I like to use, but you can use computer paper, line paper, whatever you have at home. Then you're gonna start, it's kind of like a scavenger hunt, and you're gonna find different materials around your house that have circles in it. Kandinsky loved circles and shapes and lines. So some things that I'm gonna have is a styrofoam cup. And look, there's a smaller circle and a bigger circle. I have a lid. I have some Cajun spice. And that gives me a few different size circles. And then I have a ruler for some lines. If you don't have a ruler, you can use any straight edge, like a piece of cardboard or a book or anything that has a hard straight edge on that, because we're not measuring today. So first, you are going to just start tracing some circles. I'm gonna use Sharpie so you can see it better, but if you wanna use pencil first, in case you make a mistake, that is okay too. So I'm going to press this down. And remember, when you're tracing something, you have to put pressure on the top of it or it's gonna slide all over the place. I'm gonna press this down and then I'm going to trace it around. And then I can flip the cup around. And remember, your abstract painting is not gonna look like mine. I want everyone to just watch this and then do your own. Maybe you can listen to some music like Vasily Kandinsky did. And jazz music is really good to get you in the mood of painting and drawing different things. So you can draw circles inside of circles. That is too big. You can overlap circles. If you make a mistake, that's okay. Nothing has to be perfect. You can also freehand a circle. With the ruler or the straight edge, you can now make some geometric shapes. I'm gonna make a big triangle over here. Again, I am pushing down on my ruler and then using it as a straight edge to make this triangle, which has 3 points. I'll make a square over here. And you can pick out your favorite shapes to draw on your own drawing. And you can also use this ruler to make a bunch of different straight lines. So I'm just gonna make big straight lines overlapping each other. You can cross them. Remember all of the different shapes and lines that Vasily Kandinsky did. Oh, here's Gypsy. She's trying to be on video. Let's say a quick hi. Gypsy, say hello. Gypsy, say hello. And the cool thing is, when you overlap these lines, they also make little tiny shapes inside of there. And you can color them. And I'm using a Sharpie right now, just because the Sharpie makes this nice and bold. But again, if you want to use a pencil first and then go over your shapes, you can do that. So you can fill some in, you can do shapes inside of each other. And then you can also do organic shapes. So remember, organic shapes are shapes that are made up and they are kind of wiggly and you're making up their form. Like it's a big slithering snake. Now, I'm not planning this. I had no idea what kind of shape that I was gonna make before I did it. So with the shape, you always wanna connect it back around to your starting point. So if I started here and I just start making a crazy shape, when I'm done with it, you always want to connect it right back to the start. I can make a curve. So you are going to be doing as many shapes and organic shapes as you want. I'm going to make this on super speed and then we'll talk about coloring. Now, for the coloring part, you can choose whatever you want as what you want to color in. I'm going to use these washable Crayola markers because they're nice and bright. I also have these cool twistable Crayola neon crayons. You can use regular crayons, you can use colored pencils, whatever you have at home, or you can mix and match. You don't have to color the entire page in when you're coloring. I love to leave some of white spaces on some shapes white. You can leave some of the background white. And with abstract, it doesn't have to be perfect. See here that I just colored right over the lines. You don't have to fill in every single little shape with a different color. So I like to just start out with a little scribble to get some color on there. And then with the same color, I'm just gonna go around and start filling some of these shapes in. You can make it as colorful as you want, or you can pick like 2 or 3 colors that you want as a theme for your picture. This is totally up to you. Remember, abstract is whatever you want it to be. There is no wrong answer. And it is a representation of what you are feeling. Now I'm gonna super speed this again, but just to let you know, you can use different materials to color these in. Last thing that I want to show you is once you are finished, and if you used a washable marker, there is one cool thing that you can do. If you have a paintbrush and water, I just have a plastic cup full of water and a paintbrush. If you don't have a paintbrush, you can use just a paper towel, which I had, and just wet it a little bit. And if you go over some of your colors with this, it'll blend and kind of spread out the color to make it look like watercolor. Now I used a black Sharpie for all my lines, and that's why the black isn't smearing anywhere. So if you use a black colored pencil or a black crayon, it won't smear, but if you use a black washable marker for your lines, make sure you don't just smear this all around because the black will smudge. If you have a paintbrush, there's no paint on this, but you can just put a little bit of water over top of some of your colors, and it will spread out and make a lighter color around. And it's just a little bit of a cool effect. I hope you guys really enjoyed this lesson, and I can't wait to see everyone's paintings of their abstract art. And remember, your painting or picture should not look like mine. I want to see a bunch of different shapes, organic shapes and geometric shapes. And when you're finished, you're going to take a picture of this and submit it. All right, have a great time, guys.